Hey, subscribe to my channel. I love you.
Kaizoku.
This video is brought to you by Adakai TCG. Shop the latest in premium holographic textured custom One Piece cards. Designed for collectors, crafted to stand out. Use code KAIZOKU for 15% off your next order. This video is sponsored by gumgum.gg. See the most up-to-date Eastern and Western deck lists on gumgum.gg, updated daily. Be the first to see deck lists for new leaders as they emerge. With over 1,000 deck lists per set, gumgum.gg has all the top strategies as soon as they drop. This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. Welcome to the PRB02 Week 2 meta-analysis. I kinda would venture to say this is actually Week 1. It was brought to my attention that my Week 1 video, so it's like doubly two things affecting the numbers for PRB02, because we noticed that some of the things were kind of low. I thought maybe no one was playing PRB02, but it's actually due to the fact that, so the sim switched to PRB02 on the 7th of October. That was the date that I assumed that PRB02 data would be universal across the board, and it was for non-private games, right? For overall all games, it was PRB02, but the caveat was that Ranked was using the Eastern format for their PRB02 queue, which, yeah, I thought makes sense, right? The sim hadn't switched yet, but the double caveat thing to note that is that they didn't even switch to the Western format for their queue until a couple days later, according to the comments. So even though the sim was already in the PRB format for West, the ranked queue was not. So it was like a mismatch, which caused the data to be really weird. But these numbers that you see on screen right here do look a lot more in line with what you would expect. So let's just say this is the official Week 1 of PRB02 due to the fact that data came in late. So yeah, it looks like the top 10 here is Green Bonney, Green Purple Luffy at 2nd, Rayleigh at 3rd, Green Zoro at 4th, Blue Purple Luffy at 5th, Shanks at 6th, Enel at 7th, Purple Katakuri at 8th, Red Green Smoker at 9th, and then Sanji, PRB Sanji, makes its way into 10th place, solidifying himself as a currently top meta viable leader. We'll see if that remains to be seen in OP13, this very short 1 month period where Sanji is a little more viable than he was before. So yeah, with that being said, this is my website, by the way, kaizoku.com. You can check it out for the stats as well. Let's take a look at some sample deck lists for this. So usually I like to look at some off meta leaders past the first week, but since this is like the official Week 1 now, let's just take a look at the top 10, every single one of these, in case you guys are sweat lords. Like, I'm not a sweat lord. So, sorry, a little tangent before I jump into the stats. I don't know if you guys care about it or not. You can just skip ahead if you don't, but I feel like I kind of pigeonholed myself in a really weird spot where, like, competitive play, like top level meta play, like I don't really care, but I also don't play too many off meta decks. So I'm like in that weird spot where I'm like, I don't have a reputation of like playing a bunch of off-meta leaders, but I also don't have a reputation of like being a super competitive sweat either, right? It's weird. Like I like playing competitive decks, but I don't like being competitive. So I put myself in a really awkward spot. I know I'm aware of that, where like either side doesn't really want to champion me as like someone who's part of their community, but yeah, that's just me. So I'm just gonna be me. Okay, so we'll jump right into the first leader here. So Green Bonney for the past week of PRB02 private game data, this meaning that they were played via private games. This is my closest way of estimating whether it was a ranked game or not, because the ranked system is a completely third-party thing to the sim and myself. A lot of people think that ranked is integrated into the sim. You're not realizing you're clicking a third-party app to sign into some other person's application to do that, so just FYI. So I don't have access to that data, but all ranked games are played via private games, so this is my closest approximation. Just FYI, in case you guys wanted to know why I'm looking at private only. I also have non-private games, like all Western games if you want to see that. But yeah, Bonney has a 52.42% win rate going first, 55 going second, 10,000 games, a 6.63% play rate, that's pretty high. Overall 53.76% win rate. Here are her matchups broken down below. So going against decks like Black Yellow Luffy, you absolutely destroy them. You can wrestle out other blockers really easily, get into Rayleigh too, get into Purple Luffy, Green Purple Luffy, get into Zoro, but does die to Purple Katakuri. That's a very new glaring weakness that Bonney now has. I guess the putting into like Katakuri is just too much value to have to like defend against, right? You can only rest one thing a turn. Katakuri has a way to swarm now and draw cards. Also against Sanji, yeah, you can rest his characters, but what if they can already swing? So you can't really deny a lot of his characters. You'll get rid of one thing, but he can just swing with something he just played on this turn too on top of that. So you're not really slowing him down too much. Shanks historically has been good into Bonney. Red Green Smoker did get buffed, is even stronger into Bonney than before. And then putting also another winner from that new purple pudding card that makes it good into Bonney. Also 10 cost Big Mom is devastating to Bonney. And blue purple Luffy has historically been good into this deck, so that is Bonney's matchups for this week. Let's take a look at some deck lists. So the most played deck here, 83 pilots, 425 games, 57% win rate. Here is the matchup spread for this particular deck list. Let's open it up in the deck builder. Also available on Kaizoku.com in case you're a new viewer, but people have been watching my videos this whole time. You guys know all the stuff that I've coded. So the price of this deck, 164. I would say that's affordable, right? I think Bonney's gone a lot cheaper because this Cavendish is a lot cheaper. Right, this freaking new Bonney blocker is almost as expensive. It's just a rare 2, but PRB02 is kind of, at least in my local like Bandai store, they don't sell it anymore. So yeah, anything peculiar about this deck? So the top end, that's like the differences between each Bonney deck. Most of the early game stuff is kind of the same. This Pedro is new though. I wonder what it's specifically tech for, because it also kills a 6 cost as like a revenge kill. Maybe it's like for Zoro, because like if Tashigi taps Pedro, they kill Pedro, Tashigi dies. Oh, but the Tashigi won't be rested though. You guys let me know. I haven't been keeping up with what Bonney's been doing in PRB02, to be honest. But yeah, also runs the new Zoro from PRB02, and yeah, we mentioned the Bonney. The late game is 2 8 cost kids. This is a card that has made its way back into the deck. People were abandoning this for the full Mihawk package, but with this Bonney being able to be cheated out and give you a Dawn for your lead ability, I think it makes perfect sense for 8 cost kid to be relevant again. 2 Shanks and 3 Doflamingo. Yeah, that's the most played Bonney list for this past week. Up next is Green Purple Luffy, one of the biggest winners from PRB02. So it has it going first win rate of 49.98. That's pretty much 50. And then second, 56. Overall 53. So you do slightly better going second. Good into the purple decks that got a boost. So putting in Katakuri. Good in the purple Luffy 2, every purple deck. Blue purple Luffy 2, anti-purple in a green purple deck. Get into Sanji too. So the decks that beat Bonney, you beat. It's like a triangle. Goes 50 into Zoro. That's a good 50% matchup to have. But what does he die to? He dies to red. So Marco, Shanks, Rayleigh beats him. Black Yellow Luffy also beats him. And Bonney. So Bonney herself beats this deck, but you beat the things that beat Bonney. Interesting. Okay, let's take a look at the deck list for this deck. 111 pilots, 1,105 games. Super tried and tested deck list here. Matchup spread below. A lot of confidence in the blue-purple Luffy matchup here with this deck list. So this deck costs 177, not too shabby. Oh, by the way, now that I'm mentioning the prices of the deck, if you guys wanted to buy these cards yourself, the shopping cart links that show up when you click the show prices button on my deck builder take you to TCG Player for the version of the art you have selected. I picked the cheapest one by default, but you can cycle them out and get like the more expensive ones. And then, yeah, the link will change accordingly. And then for your convenience, if you wanted to buy these decks outright, just click the master entry button, copies the entire deck list to your clipboard. Is that what it's called? Yes. And then once you add TCG Player's master entry form, you use Control V, add the entire deck to your cart. It even remembers which art you picked. And yeah, both of these methods go through my affiliate link. So if you guys wanted to support me and you guys wanted to buy these cards anyway, it's like a win-win. So I would really appreciate it if you did do it that way. So yeah, it does run this new Nami. We'll make it expensive because I like the alt art for it. Double Nami Searcher kind of deck. This one's, they're up onto the EB02 Zoro. This, I remember, was cut out completely, then came back as a 2 of, and now it's back to being a 4 of in the deck. Right, this is really good into Rayleigh and stuff like that. 2 Luffy Taro. This was at 3 or 4 copies at one point, back down to 2. And then, yeah, Thunder Bagua is like a new hotness for this deck. They don't run the blocker chopper anymore. They run Thunder Bagua. That's about it. Everything else is pretty standard. So that's Green Purple Luffy for you. That was like crazy, like $521 deck. I forgot I made the alt arts really expensive. Okay, Rayleigh for this week, 50 going first, 56 going second, another going second deck. It seems to be a trend where every top deck at the moment likes to go second. Kind of weird, right? So his matchups are as follows below. Good into Pudding, good into Smoker, good into Zoro, good into both of the purple Luffys. But weak into the purely purple Luffy? That's interesting. I wonder why this is, because Luffy does kind of get pretty low pretty easily. I guess it's like the Sanji and stuff, resting your characters before you can attack with them. But also completely dies to Bonney, you completely die to Enel, and then the new Sanji is good into your deck too. I would imagine the Sanji runs some of the when attacking characters that can pop small guys, and he can give them rush too, so that makes sense, but we'll have to see when we get to the Sanji deck list. And also loses to Nami. This has been historically the case. So let's look at some Rayleigh deck lists. 36 pilots, 324 games. This is a really good list, I would have to assume. Yeah, he has a lot of confidence into the blue-purple Luffy matchup. I guess that's like the deck to beat. Everyone's really testing against it. So let's open up this deck list. This one has 735 games though. Is this more reliable? Yeah, let's look at this one. So this deck costs $93. $93, very cheap, sub $100 deck. If you're going to play this into OP13, this deck doesn't change at all too. So yeah, Rayleigh mains can stay consistent with their $100 investment here. I don't think there's anything too crazy that's different from before, right? Oh, one Radical Beam is kind of new. You could always run it before though, because it synergizes with the deck. Also, only one Kong Gatling. People used to run 2 of this. For the unblockable event, is this the unblockable event? No, it's not. Okay, so they cut down on copies of Armament Hockey, and the unblockable goes up to being 4. I think it used to be the other way around, but I think it's negligible which ratios of these you run. But I guess it's nice to have unblockable more often. Like this one gives you unblockable, this one just gives you 1 extra power, 1000 power on top of what you would normally get. So that makes sense. In terms of searcher, it's 444, 16, no 12 searchers. Dang, I wish I knew how to multiply or add. And in terms of rush, it's a 2-2 split with the Kid and Killer and the Zoro. The starter deck 10 Zoro is actually cheaper than the OP01 Zoro. How much does the OP01 cost? It's double the price. What the heck? But the art for starter deck 10 is so much better. And up next we have Green Zoro. 52 going first, 51 going second. Finally a deck that has a higher going first win rate. Good into decks like Black Yellow and Teach and Gakomori. Just completely kills black. Also good into the Sanji and Smoker and Shanks. Good into a lot of stuff actually. He only starts to get weak into purple. Purple, Yellow Pudding, Luffy, and Katakuri beat him. That's weird. In OP13, Purple Luffy completely dies to Zoro. But yeah, if you look at the matchup breakdown here, if you take first away from Purple Luffy, you're super ahead. That makes complete sense because Purple Luffy's got a kind of go first or die kind of deck. But yeah, going second, he actually beats you. 253 games too. Okay, special mid-video edition. I want to look at what Purple Luffy's running to cause this kind of matchup. We'll leave him at the end. But yeah, also loses to Rayleigh and Enel. Let's take a look at some Zoro deck lists. You guys shouldn't complain. You get 1 extra leader stat. Okay, so 20 games, 96 pilots, 53.1% play rate. Here is the matchup spread in below as follows. Let's open it up in the deck builder. I think I used up too much of my energy for the first couple of leaders. I'm kind of stumbling over my words here. So it is the East Blue version of Green Zoro. It runs the Nami Searcher from OP03 and Hot Chons and stuff, and Rika as 2k counters that you can pick up with the Nami, because this Tashiki is also East Blue, and this is one of the most important cards in the current meta. Now in like 3 weeks, once OP13 comes out, this deck list is going to change. It's going to switch to a more like Law and Zoro heavy kind of package. There's a new Law that comes out, but until then, yeah, I think the East Blue version greatly improves the consistency of fighting your Tashigis, right? They even cut out a 4th Cavendish and a 4th Mihawk to fit in the East Blue package. Only 1 DMG now. I still don't think that we need to run this 0 cost 3k event, but everyone's running it as a 1 of. But like you're only running 13 bricks, so I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't run it. It's not even searchable by anything besides like the Peronas and Hyoris, I guess. But yeah, that's just me. But that's Green Zoro. Blue Purple Luffy, 52% going first, 50 going second. Matchups below, good into red, right? Oh, not into every red, but Shanks and Sanji at least, good into those 2 guys. Also good into Enel, you outscale them. Good into Purple Luffy. This used to, I don't know, I feel like this matchup always flip-flops, right? In the beginning, like Blue Purple Luffy beat him, and then Blue Purple Luffy got the restrictions, so Purple Luffy started to beat him, and then it flipped back to the other way around, I guess. Even though both decks didn't get anything new from PRB02. Well, I guess the Purple Luffy can run the Nami, but what is this guy weak into? Good. Weak into both of the purple new decks, Katakuri and Pudding. Weak into Rayleigh, weak into Zoro, and historically has been weak into Koala. Also weak into Green Purple. Let's look at some deck lists for this guy. So 2,133 games, 214 pilots, a very tried and tested deck. Is that the saying? I feel like I'm saying that, but it doesn't sound right. Tried and tested? Tried and true? Is that what I meant to say? Okay, let's take a look at this deck list. $176. So yeah, kind of the top meta decks are on par with each other. They're either like $100 or like near the 170 mark, which yeah, I would consider not too bad. I think in Magic, I remember decks used to cost like crazy high amounts of money. So that's why like people like playing red deck wins, because it's like a $50 deck that can beat those decks. But yeah, in Blue Purple Luffy, they're running this Rosinante mandatorily now. Whether you're running the ACOS Doflamingo as well is optional. Right? I think just having them, people are fine with it. You get 2 Dawn up for all of your counter events. You also get to run God Thread as a 4 of and not get 2 punished, because it's not a horrible brick in your deck, because you can always discard it with Rosinante in the late game to draw 2 cards. And then you always get it on curve to ramp you to 8. I would imagine this is really good into Green Zoro too, because you can kill Tashigi or Cavendish. In terms of what you can cheat out with the Mihawk, until we get Promo Roger in December, Oh no, sorry, with the Sanji. What am I talking about? Until we get the promo Roger in December, we cheat out Mihawk and the Luffy here, Snake Man Luffy, and 2 of the 9-cost Luffy as well for a rush option that can draw you a card. This is also a rush option, but not as strong. Right, this is 2,000 power more. In terms of ramp, you have the Zoro Juro, Thunder Bagua, Mr. Twos. So that is Blue Purple Luffy. Only one pudding. This might have to change in the future because OP13 is a very large hand economy kind of set. But yeah, that's this deck for you guys. Next up is Shanks. 44 going first, 56 going second. So you very much want to go second with this deck. Good into purple Luffy, good into green purple, good into Sanji, good into Smoker, good into Pudding, 50-50 into Katakuri, and weak to blue purple Luffy by a large margin, whether you're going first or second. Also weak to Zoro. But other than that, like pretty good matchups all around, right? You're just weak to the 2 most popular decks, which is unfortunate, but decent into everything else. Let's open it up in the deck builder. So, and these are kind of low play rate. Are people just not playing this deck? Or is everyone running like a different version of the deck? So there's no like consensus on which is the most played list. So let's take a look at this one then. 45 games, 2 people played it. Matchup spread below. Again, really low play rate. So take this with a grain of salt. This deck costs $98. Yeah, as we mentioned, 100 or the 170 mark seems to be every deck. And it's running. Yeah, I can see why there's no like agreed upon list if they're running like crazy different ratios of these cards, like 2 Otama, 3 Building Snake, 2 Lime Juice. Somebody could run 1 difference from this and it would like fork into its own deck list, into its own category. Even with the new blocker Shanks, only a 3 of, 2 Yasops. Yeah, it's like run whatever ratios you feel like. Runs that new Law and none of the new Lucky Roo in this particular deck list. In terms of late game removal, you have Beckman, the Newgate, and Rayleigh, and the 06 Shanks, so very high in removal. One of the Roger, which isn't too relevant yet, but it will become relevant, which is why he's like 20 bucks a pop now. But yeah, that is Shanks. Next up, we have Enel going first, 43, going second, 59. Another tangent. Why do you guys call it Enel? It's Enel, right? Not Enel. Like, this isn't even like a Japanese pronunciation versus English pronunciation. I just don't understand how the English pronunciation is Enel. Why is the stress on the second syllable? But anyway, his matchups below is good into Rayleigh and Zoro, and Sanji, and Purple Luffy. Wait, this used to be flipped around. I guess this 10-cost Enel really helps this matchup here, right? You just have a way to heal and attack back on top of the ace if you run both. Also weak into Koala. I probably mention this every time I talk about this matchup, but Koala can nullify your leader ability, because when you play an 8 cost or greater, it makes you take a life, but your leader ability only heals you a life on your opponent's turn. So if you lose a life on your own turn, you actually stay at 0. And then Teach nullifies all the ways you have to heal, which is unfortunate. Bonney is good against decks that play 1 big thing a turn, and then Blue Purple Luffy just outvalues you. So let's take a look at some deck lists for Enel. 531 games, 80 pilots. Matchup spread below. Let's open it up. Okay, so this one does run both Ace and the Enel, so I'm glad what I said didn't backfire and blow up in my face. Runs to the Arc Maxim. This completely destroys Rayleigh. This is like targeted hate to Rayleigh. It only really affects that guy because it shuts down like half of the cards in his deck. Right? They just die. They run Damn Punk now instead of the Fire Fist. Right? I wonder for why. Because this kind of does the same thing. Oh, but Fire Fist stops working. Oh, it's called Fire Fist. Yeah, Fire Fist, Pistol Red Hawk stops working when you're at low life. Enel is incentivized to take life as liberally as possible to get to 1. So yeah, they just lose access to it. So I get why Damn Punk is run. You can run this at any point in the game and pop a 5-drop that way. 4 Oh My God standard, 3 Nami standard, 4 Kuma super standard. Like, I feel like every yellow deck at the moment is running 4 Kuma, 4 Hawkins, 4 Kikunojo, fill out the rest of the deck. Which is kind of unfortunate because, oh yeah, they're expensive cards. This is the most expensive deck, 220, because of Kuma, mainly the Kuma, but yeah, you have to run the Hawkins and the Kikunojo too, right? I would consider these like the untouchables. They're the characters that no one ever wants to kill because they have bad on KO effects. But yeah, other than that, you have like your surprise win from nowhere triggers, right? Brule stops 1 attack, Bedge stops 1 attack, Oh My God stops 1 attack, and yeah, that's Enel. Purple Katakuri, a new kid on the scene, an old kid that got new toys, is more apt to describe his situation. 55 going first, 46 going second. Finally, a going first kind of deck that wins. Heavily going first, giving him an overall win rate of 52. Good into Bonney, Blue Purple Luffy, Purple Luffy, Sanji, Zoro. Good into the Pudding 2 and Enel. But what does he die to? Dies to Marco, dies to Green Purple, dies to the new Gecko Moria, dies to Red Green Smoker. And Teach also nullifies a lot of your ways to ramp, I guess. Let's open it up in the deck. I guess Teach denies the Pudding too, right? So this one, 3 pilots, 76 games. I guess there's a big variation of deck list for Katakuri, but let's take a look at this one. So $74. What is this card? Oh, Blast Breath. Yeah, so I probably should do like a hard-coded fix, but TCG Player doesn't have starter deck images for some reason. So I just take the image that they use and it's this placeholder. But I could just put my own placeholder there, so I should do that. I'll do that after this video. But yeah, this deck does run this new pudding, right? You can cheat out 8k power or less Big Mom Pirates type character. And you also draw 2 cards. And then if you cheat out the Sanji and Pudding, you get one of the Dawn back. And you probably draw another card on top of that, so it's 3 cards drawn. Late game is just this 8 cost Katakuri. I don't think you go above 8 anymore. So they've cut out the 9 cost Big Moms and the 10 cost Big Moms. Yeah, very strong deck now thanks to this one addition. That makes you think like, I really do wish there were more EB sets and PRB sets to just make a lot of the old leaders relevant. Instead of printing like new OP leaders that define the meta like OP13 does. Right? I wish there were less OP sets and more EB and PRB. Just so that like we have over 100 leaders in the game. I want them all to be strong. I guess that's too much of an ask, but at least like a bigger pool than what we have now and not always releasing the new next top meta every set, if that makes sense. Right? I want to play with the cards I already have. But that's purple Katakuri. Taking a look at the red-green smoker, 46 going first, 54 going second, back to being a second kind of deck. So good into Teach, Katakuri Pudding, good into Bonney, weak into Rayleigh by a large margin, weak into Gecko, and then weak into Yamato and blue-purple Luffy. So let's open it up. So 1 pilot, 66 games. That makes me think that there's no one list that everyone's running with this leader as well. So let's take a look at this person's deck list, this singular person. If this is your deck list, let me know in the comments below. So $188 here. Ooh, runs 2 Samurai. That's interesting. I guess that makes sense, right? You're running both Perona and Kujaku. Kujaku you can use to like give plus 1k to something, but besides that, you can just tap the Kujaku and the Peronas to draw 2 cards. I think that is an issue at Red Green Smoker. Red Green Smoker is a really fragile deck. They kind of go feast or famine, but just having a way to draw more cards could keep you alive more longer. In terms of new cards, it's this Law from PRB02 and then this Kobe. This Kobe is actually an 8k base on your opponent's turn because, oh sorry, 7k. I'm thinking of a different card. There's a new Kujaku that makes him a 7k base. But Smoker gives plus 1k to Navy type characters on your opponent's turn, and then he himself, this Kobe, gives himself plus 1000 power. So he's a 7k base. And just so you guys don't think I'm crazy, this is why I said 8k. This one gives it plus 2k, and then he himself gives himself plus 1k. Okay, I'm not crazy, editor. Don't cut that part out, include it. What else is new though? So only 2 Hody and 3 Mihawk, and they even include Doflamingo now. So the top end is getting varied. It's pretty much the same as Bonney though, besides the 8 cost kid. I think Red Green Smoker was the premier Fortress deck for a while, but now it's not even Fortress at all. Yeah, just a bunch of ways to get extra value with extra Dawn. Like this Bonney gives you an extra Dawn, this Smoker gives you extra Dawn. Your leader ability gives you 2, so you can run events with that extra Dawn to just pop stuff while developing a board. Yeah, 188 for this deck. Did I already go over the price? I probably did. So next deck, Sanji. It's a completely out of nowhere deck that got popular because of PRB02. So going first 45, going second 54, another heavily favored going second deck. Get into these decks. So Teach, you cannot stop any of Sanji's rush, and Teach dies to rush. So this 84% win rate makes complete sense to me. Also good into Rayleigh, Gecko Moria, good into basically a bunch of 4 life leaders like Koala, Pudding, Black Yellow Luffy, Marco. But what does he die to? Enel is a great anti-aggro deck. Also loses the blue-purple Luffy. I guess if you can't kill him quick enough, he just outscales you. And like every single card in the Sanji deck can get bottom decked by the Mihawk, right? But yeah, this guy can just run too many defenses. Also weaken the green purple and purple Luffy and purple Katakuri. Yeah, I guess I just don't know enough about Red Sanji to know why. I should probably try him out. I'll do a video this week on him. But let's take a look at the deck list. So 44 pilots, 291 games. This is a pretty popular list here. Matchup spread is as follows. Let's open it up. My voice is starting to go, so I'll try to wrap things up quick. So $125 deck. What is this? It's a starter deck card, right? Shuffle Nami. Okay. So runs the new Kobe, runs the new Law. If I remember correctly, the other cards are like vanillas. Yeah, the Punk Hazard vanillas, because you can run Virgo to search them. And there's some overlap with some of the other Straw Hats. Like yeah, this Sanji is a Punk Hazard and Straw Hat. I really wonder why this Nami is so necessary in this deck. But I guess with Rush, getting that 1 extra Dawn makes all the difference. It must be, right? In terms of the on-play that this deck does run, that don't get rushed, they run Ben Beckman and Silver's Rayleigh. I guess they're too good not to run. And then 10-layer Igloo and Jet Pistol for defense, so it's kind of like a smoker deck in that regard. And this is Punk Hazard searchable. This one is not searchable, but it's too good not to run in red. But yeah, that is Sanji. I guess I do really just have to try this deck out to see why it's so strong. And then, as we mentioned, 1 extra leader, 11th leader here, Purple Luffy, because I was just curious about the a couple of his matchups actually. Right, why is he good into green Zoro and then why is he weak into blue purple Luffy? I thought it would be flipped. So going first 53, going second 43. Okay, that's not as bad as I was expecting. I guess they kind of changed their deck list to not be as bad going second. It's still over a 10% discrepancy here, but 48 overall. Good into decks like Rayleigh. Good into Rayleigh, really? Good into Sanji, really? I just kind of thought this deck folded to aggro. We'll have to see why with the deck list. But yeah, good into Shanks, good into Gakumori, good into Enel. Good into green purple, good into Bonney. Let's just open it up and see once and for all why. 65 games, 4 pilots, or 73 games and 2 pilots. 4 people better than 2, right? So let's take a look at this matchup spread and open it up. Wait, let's check for the deck that beats Zoro. So this one doesn't beat Zoro. We'll have to find out which deck is so good into Zoro that it's making the stats go up. So this one has a 100% win rate into Zoro over 5 games. But this one has 600 games. Maybe this... Okay, let's take a look at this one then. 600 games, 70 pilots. It does get into green Zoro, which is why we were like, what the heck? But weak into blue purple Luffy. Oh, this is like a Big Mom Pirates version. That's why. Okay, let's open it up. I'm curious. So this version of the deck costs 123. If we get lead performance disasters, okay, 126. So this kind of explains why. It's not the traditional purple Luffy deck. The traditional purple Luffy deck does beat blue purple, but dies to green Zoro. This version flips that. I feel like this makes complete sense now. And especially with this being like 620 something games played, this is like one of the more popular lists in the last week. So yeah, runs Big Mom Pirates Searcher, Pudding, 2K, and Strusen. I forgot that's what he looked like when he was young. But still runs some of the staple purple cards like the Usohachi and then the Mr. 2s and then Double Finger for reliable ramp. They run the Brule for ramp too. It has to die. Vanilla 2K, that's searchable. They run Queen. What the heck? Back into the old days of the cards that were only run because this deck didn't have its own package. But now they're stripping away his package for like back to the generic good purple decks. But still runs a Sanji. Too good not to run. And then the top end is the Katakuri and Big Moms. And also the Rush Luffy. And then also runs 4 Gungam Giant still. 1 to die for and 3 lead performer disasters. Do you ever hardcast this? Is that worth it? So you're just rushing to 8 and 9 basically and then stabilizing off of that. And that makes you good into green Zoro? That's interesting. I really want to try this deck out then, into green Zoro. Then you're trading your good matchup into blue purple Luffy, right? Because you're not doing like Luffy Taro into stuff. Yeah, you're not running the Zoro Searcher too. I never thought I'd see the day where this deck doesn't run that card. Okay, yeah, this completely explains the stats. And this is going to change again in OP13 because you kind of become like an anti-Emu deck with the Magellans. Well, who knows, maybe the West cooks something else up too. Purple Luffy is like the chameleon deck just because he's generically good in any meta, right? He's just a deck that can ramp no matter what kind of package he's running because of his leader ability. That's cool. Okay, so that's going to be our meta analysis for this week of PRB02 private games, which is essentially ranked data. Let me know what you guys thought. I learned quite a lot of new things here, so I have some things I want to take away from this and try out myself, right? Namely the PRB Sanji and then Purple Luffy with the Big Mom Pirates package. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Any feedback would be appreciated. I want to make these better for you guys. We'll look at off-meta leaders eventually. And then let me know if you guys want an OP13 version of this still, sometime this week, maybe tomorrow, but let me know in the comments. Right, last week we did both PRB and OP13, but if you guys only care about PRB for now, I'll hold off on OP13 until we actually get to OP13. But that's going to be it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And again, check out my website, kaizoku.com. And I guess I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!
Kaizoku.